Hi there, and thank you for tuning in. As you may be able to see here, I'm getting the last sun of the day through the window to the left. So that's very nice. I can't see a thing, but I hope you can. This is turning into a vlog related to owning the Nikon D4 that I'm holding here. And I start out with the first question I got from Derek, who said, which lens is it that you're actually using in the former video? And it's the Nikon 16-35 f4, a very nice and wide lens that has both vibration reduction and, I think extremely important, it has a thread in the front of the glass, so that you don't have to, some of the glass you buy, if you buy a very wide lens, it has a curved front. That means you can't put a filter onto the lens. You have to buy a sort of a construction and then lower the glass into that construction, and it gets very, very cumbersome if you ask me. But this lens is relatively wide. 16, I find I could wish for a bit more than 16 some days, I must admit. I have a 12mm Samyang lens also that fits on my Sony that's recording this video. That's a bit wider, but 16 in most cases will do. The great thing about this lens is that it also zooms, and that to my surprise, that is actually very useful. And then it's known to make straight lines straight, this lens, and I can sort of confirm that. It really is, if you're an architecture shooter where you need sort of to shoot wide and the straight lines to be straight, this lens is definitely worth consideration, should be on your short list. So last time I talked about expensive accessories, and I have now invested in a XQD card, a 32GB. It's just as big as the CF card I have sitting in the camera. So now I use both slots in the dual card setup, so that now I have the CF card sitting to the right that you push out like this, and then I have the XQD card that sort of jumps out spring-laden, like you note from Fujifilm. Yeah, there isn't so much to say about that other than it makes me feel good that I now have a backup. And now I have set it up. You can set it up in many ways. You can set it up so that it's overflow. You can set it up so that, many ways. But secondary slot function here, you can see I set it up so that it's backup. I was shooting RAW. Yeah, that's just me. But you can shoot so that the XQD card takes the overflow, that it is a backup, or that you have JPEG on the secondary and RAW on the primary. You can also here set up which card it is that's the primary. In my case, I've chosen the CF card because I only have a CF card reader, so the XQD card, that would be a little bit difficult for me to use as the primary card. So now I'm good to go in terms of having no single point of failure storing the picture information. In the last video, I complained about the trigger for my Nikon D750 and said that it wouldn't fit into the D4, and unfortunately that is so very true. But Tracy was very kind and wrote me and said the remote trigger MC38 works both on the D700 and the D4, and that is so true, and so does the 36A that I'm holding here. And this one is a little bit more advanced, I think, than the 30, but I think basically they can do the same. But how it works is you have a 10-pin connector sitting top left on your camera, and then it's threaded, so you can sort of mount this one into that. And then you can operate the camera from a distance. You can either just fire like this, like you would push the shutter. You can push and hold it, and then you can see it will count for how long the timer is open. Or you can actually configure it. You can set it up so that it takes a series of pictures. You can just set up one picture. I've set it up here, so I have to take one picture. I have a delay of 3 seconds. Then it will keep the shutter open for 10 seconds. And it has an interval time that's sort of, if you have more pictures, then you can determine the interval here. The number of shot, only one, and whether I want sound on and off. The way it works is that this little bar here, the little black bar, indicates where in the menu system you are. That took me a while to figure out because, I mean, I was looking for this text here in the LCD, but it's not there. It's you simply just have to see where the bar is. The way it works is that when you then activate it, let me just go over here, you can see then it's counting down the 3 seconds, and now it's giving me the 10 seconds the shutter is open, and then it closes the shutter itself after the timer runs out, like that. And you know, there's nothing more to it. So it works pretty well, and I think it was expensive. I can show you the price on the screen. Also, I got a bit, the British have left EU, so I had a little bit of import tax. The strange thing I find about this, I've been out shooting with it and it works fine. The strange thing about it though is that you can't turn it off. There is no on-off button, and it says so, you know, very clearly in the manual. You have to take the batteries out, and they recommend you do that. So the best thing you can do is actually to lock it. You hold down the lock button, and you can see it says L here. Maybe that's difficult to see, but it says here, and then no matter what you do to the buttons, then nothing happens. So you can throw it in the bag now. You're safe. And then after you have locked it, you can just hold it down again, and it unlocks. So it works fine. It wasn't as expensive as I said in the first video. I think I said 200 euros. That's not true, but for sure it is expensive. But I wanted the timer thing. I'm not sure the 30 does that. I think the 30 is just a remote that can do like this. Yeah, you can save some money, I think, with the 30, and you can also for sure save some money if you buy an off-brand version. Aruna wrote a comment saying that the Peak Design straps, they get in the way when you move into portrait mode. And that is so very true. As you can see here, it sits right where you want to put your eye. That's where this strap naturally goes, right? What you can do is you can buy, if you buy one of these Peak Design straps, plates, that can take these anchor points. They have holes in the corners, right? So they can actually take this anchor point. Then you can just move the Peak Design strap from top right of your camera to the bottom, and then it actually sits. It works very well, and it sits a bit better on your hip when you're walking. So if you have this issue with, I mean, now it's gone, right? Now there's no problem looking into the viewfinder. But if you have this issue, this is a little trick for you. But make sure you buy the right Peak Design plate, especially if you're shooting with Manfrotto tripod heads. Then you need to make sure you buy the dual plate version of this one. But otherwise it should be straightforward. You get a Peak Design one here, and then you can let go of the top right one. Then moving into some of the really nerdy stuff, Andrew wrote me and said that if you don't want this little metal triangle here sitting on your camera, you can actually use a bit of dental floss, and I did so, to pull the anchor points straight through the mount here, top right, and also of course top left. I just only did it on one side so you can see the difference. So if you don't like all this, the busyness over here, you can get a more simple setup here. So thank you, Andrew, for the tip. But you really need to use some dental floss to sort of pull it through. Otherwise you'll have a hard time making this happen. Then Snookly asks about live view on the D4, and I can only say it works like a charm, or exactly as I want it to. You push the button, it enters live view, you take a picture, and it just works. Instead of looking in the viewfinder, you look at the rear screen. That's the way it should be. On the D700, you have to choose between tripod mode and handheld, and you have to push to enter. Yeah, so as you can see, live view here, it just works exactly the way I want it to. You enter, you shoot, and you exit. That's all there is to it. That's the way it should be. That's the way it works on my D750. That's the way it works on D4. D700, unfortunately not. Finally, taking care of your gear. I guess we all want to protect our investments. And Ali wrote me and said that protecting the rear LCD here is a good thing. Actually, there are 3 areas for protection as I see it. There's the bottom and the top LCD, and then there's sort of the rear screen here. And I have been advised not to use this Panzer glass because it actually is glass to some extent, and it's very difficult to cut it so that it fits. But otherwise, you can just buy, like I did, some, you know, off-brand protection film, and you can see it's flexible, so you can basically just take a pair of scissors and cut it out so that it fits different parts of your D4. The thing is, as far as I can tell, it's the bottom LCD here that often gets beaten up. I've seen many examples where these were, you know, really in a bad shape, but I think it would be wise to maybe do it on all 3. They say that this one, the big one, is hardened glass. I'm not so sure, but I would for sure say that the top one and the bottom one, they sound like they could use some protection. So get, you know, I think this set me back €7 or so, but some also say you can just use, you know, quite ordinary tape. I'm not so sure. I think you want something that you can actually see through. That's the whole point, right? So you both get protection and you can still see both the LCD and your pictures. But as long as it meets those criteria and it can prevent a few scratches, then I think you are good with, you know, even the cheapest of screen guards. So that was the 3rd video, and thank you for all your questions and comments. Keep them coming. Maybe there will be more material for a new video, who knows. If there is, I think I need to invent a new naming scheme, because I can't just add more and more weeks to the name of these videos. But this is the 3rd video, so maybe there will be a 4th. We'll see. For now, as always, take care. Happy shooting. Bye bye.